Huh. So, things have been kind of quiet this week when it comes to the big time toy news. So, how about we just cue the theme music, huh? Well, hello there, everybody. I'm Photo Dave. This is Toypixx, and you're watching Toy Photography News for Saturday, April 15th, 2023. And if you live in the US, did you get your taxes done? Stupid adult life. Anywho, as always, I'll be sure to leave affiliate links in the video description below. What that means is if you decide to click one of those links and purchase something, that helps me out. I hugely appreciate it, just as much as I appreciate the fact that you decided to sit down and watch this video. Now, for those of you who've never seen Toy Photography News, what it is I look at the past week's fully revealed action figures and I give them photo scores based on 7 categories. That's that many. Those categories are sculpt, paint, whether or not they come with an extra head or heads, extra hands, accessories, articulation, and natural movement. Now, natural movement is, do they break up the sculpt at any joints, or do they only have 90-degree bends at places like knees and elbows? So, now that you totally get the whole idea of Toy Photography News, how about we just get into it, shall we? First up, from Star Wars The Black Series, we have a properly scaled R2-D2 who looks exactly like everyone's favorite lovable space trash can. It looks great. I don't even know how to throw down with this thing. It looks perfect, and it's scaled right. So, I don't know, all I'll need are some reviews to see how it stacks up with the SHF one. So, let's just go to the photo score. Now, I'm not going to go through all this stuff here for right now. He got a 5 out of 7, but let's be honest, R2-D2 doesn't need extra heads or extra hands. I'm inclined to say this is probably perfect, barring reviews. So let's just say 5 out of 5, shall we? And now here's the return of the Jedi, Darth Vader from Star Wars The Black Series, and he looks good. There's nothing I can really say too harsh here. I just wish that Black Series figures would come with more stuff and be better articulated, but overall, this is a great looking Vader. Probably, I don't know, just looking at him, I would guess it might be the best Vader in the Black Series. So let's check out the photo score. I gave him a point for sculpt. I just didn't compare him to a lot of stuff, and I know the head's going to be new, at least the one forearm's going to be new, the way it splits, so he got the point for sculpt. He gets a point for paint. There are no extra heads, no extra hands. He does have accessories, at least a lightsaber, helmet, all that good stuff. He has articulation, but because it's 90-degree articulation when we're talking elbows and knees, he gets no natural movement for a photo score of 4 out of 7. Next up is the Emperor's Royal Guard, who's a straight-up repaint, but looking really good as a straight-up repaint. I do enjoy the cloth goods. He looks like he's as movable as he needs to be. Let's be honest, any of us pick up the Royal Guard, he's just going to be standing there next to the Emperor. So, going to the photo score. Nothing for sculpt, like I said, straight-up repaint. He does get enough in paint just because he just looks right. No extra heads, no extra hands. He does have accessories. He has articulation, but again, 90-degree bends, no natural movement, so he gets a total photo score of 3 out of 7. That takes us to everyone's favorite space slug, Jabba the Hutt. And from everything I can tell, he just looks like a straight-up repaint of the one that was released way back when, but I loves me some Jabba, and it's nice to see him back in the line. So let's just jump to the photo score here. Nothing on sculpt. He does get paint. I mean, there's a lot of paint on that dude. No extra heads or extra hands, obviously. I don't know what they could do for any extra heads. Maybe, like, have some with a tongue sticking out. I don't know. That's just macabre. He does have accessories. He has articulation. And for a space slug, I'm actually giving him natural movement. You'll see that for aliens, I'm a little more lenient on this whole natural movement thing. So Jabba gets a photo score of 4 out of 7. Now we have an example of possibly another perfect figure for Black Series as far as this Jedi Luke Skywalker. this might be the best Luke Skywalker Black Series has put out. I don't know. Guess we'll wait till the reviews come out to really know, but he looks great. Like, what the design team at Black Series does is pretty good stuff. If they allowed them a little more budget, ooh, this line would crush it. Anyway, going to Luke's photo score, he gets a point for sculpt, a point for paint. There are no extra heads, no extra hands. He does have his lightsaber, so there's accessories. He has articulation, but again, 90-degree bends means no natural movement, giving Luke a photo score of 4 out of 7. And now we have Dok Ondar, who looks really good, which is apparently something I'm going to say a lot in today's toy photography news. But yeah, I mean, the way they did a wash, the cloth goods, the accessories, the fact that he's an alien, he just looks great. So, taking it to the photo score, he gets a point for sculpt, a point for paint. There are no extra heads or extra hands. He does have accessories. He does have articulation. And because he's an alien, I'm giving him a point for natural movement because we don't know how far those elbows can bend. That gives him a total photo score of 5 out of 7. And now we have a gaming greats Darth Maul, and there's always something about Maul. Maul always looks cool. The red and black combination always sells this guy. And if you really think about Star Wars lore in this day and age, he's kind of a tragic character, which is weird when it comes to the Sith. Anyway, let's head over to that photo score. He gets a point for sculpt, a point for paint. There are no extra heads or hands. He's got his lightsaber, so there's his point for accessories. He has articulation, but again, Black Series, limited 90-degree movement. So no natural movement, giving Maul here a total score of 4 out of 7. And then there was Cad Bane, and we're going to use this photo score for both the Cad Banes that were recently revealed, simply because they'd get the same photo score anyway. This is the single-carded version, and I gotta say, no matter what they do, Cad Bane looks cool. This is a good-looking space alien here. Very good stuff. Love the blue on everything. Love the uniform. I mean, this looks like Old West, which makes it even more sad that we didn't get kind of the splayed-out fingers like he's in a draw situation and he's going to get ready to pull his guns. Anyway, let's go to the photo score. He gets a point for sculpt, a point for paint. There are no extra heads or hands. He has his blasters, so he gets a point for accessories. He has articulation, but with the 90-degree bends, there's no natural movement, giving Cad Bane a photo score of 4 out of 7. Now we have Cobb Vanth from the 2-pack with Cad Bane, and I don't know how much of this is really new, but it has so much of a different look than the first Cobb Vanth. I decided to be nice about sculpt, and he looks great. He always looks like Timothy Oliphant. They really crushed it when it comes to the likeness. So let's head to the photo score, where he gets a point for sculpt, a point for paint, no extra heads, no extra hands. He does have accessories. He has articulation, but again, 90 degrees, no natural movement, giving Cobb Vanth a photo score of 4 out of 7. The Force Ghosts 3-pack is a great idea. I really like the idea of this, but it still bugs me that that's Anakin Skywalker as far as Hayden Christensen is concerned and not Sebastian Shaw. Still, it looks good, and I like what they've done with the paint, I like what they've done with the robes, all that stuff, but for me, it would just be a display piece, thus negating the whole action figure thing. I'm probably not picking this up, but just in case you're thinking about it, let's run to that photo score. I believe they're all repaints, so there's no point for sculpt. I did give them a point for paint. There are no extra heads, extra hands. They do have accessories. They do have articulation, but again, no natural movement, giving this pack a photo score of 3 out of 7. And now we come to my weekly goof up with Karai from Super 7's TMNT line. I'm just going to go to the photo score so you can see how I blew it. Now we know she's a ninja who, because she's Super 7, she won't be able to do ninja things, so we knew natural movement would be a problem, but she gets a point for sculpt, a point for paint, a point for extra head, a point for extra hands, a point for accessories, and I gave her a point for articulation, but I'm taking it away because she's way too limited, especially for being a ninja. So Karai gets a photo score of 5 out of 7. Regardless of what the graphic you're looking at says. And now we have a DC Multiverse Flash that's a McFarlane Toys Store exclusive, I believe, and He's got a unique look, I'll give him that, and he's a repaint from a figure that was released, I think, a couple years ago. So let's just jump to the photo score here. Checking him out, he gets a point for sculpt, a point for paint, because I fought myself on that, but there are enough yellow lines and everything for him to look right, where I gave him the point for paint. No extra heads, no extra hands. He does have accessories. He has articulation, and from reviews I've seen of the original of this Flash, he's got decent natural movement, so he gets a photo score of 4 out of 7. And now we head over into 5K Toys Land with Sasha. And I don't know what to say that the pictures aren't going to tell you. She looks great. She looks like she's got a little bit of a military thing going while also being anime. She's got all kinds of stuff. She looks like she bends really well. Just very cool stuff. When anybody talks about just an action figure being cool for the sake of being just a really cool action figure, something like Sasha, I have to think, is what they have in mind. It's certainly what I have in mind. So let's go to the photo score for her. She gets a 7 out of 7. Just look at that picture. Look at all the things. You saw the other pictures with all the bending. Yeah, 7 out of 7. And then we go over to Uzukure, who looks like she's basically the same figure, but I'm still going to be okay with sculpt because as far as I know, looking at these two, this is the first line, kind of the first wave of them. So when there's reuse, when it's like one single wave and it's the first appearance of the reuse, I don't bust them so hard. I'm kind of kind like that, as opposed to other lines where I'm less kind. Anywho, checking out Uzukure here, looking at her photo score, she's going to get another 7 out of 7 because, like I said, pretty much the same thing. But when the same thing is very cool, well, that's just very cool. And now we're on the Storm Collectibles train with Hishiro Mitsurugi. I probably got that a little wrong, but I don't know this figure. I just know looking at him, he looks insanely cool. I love all the detail on this thing. I love the huge build. This guy's massive, and I would imagine if you're playing the game this thing's based on, because that tends to be what Storm Collectibles does with their figures, I guess they're mostly based on games, he'd do pretty well. So let's head over to the photo score, where again we see a perfect 7 out of 7. These figures lately, they're ridiculous, man. I'm a fan. And now we come to one that even I know, and that's Liu Kang, another one that just looks great. Looks like there's parts here that are reuse, but not so much that I'm going to nick him on sculpt. So let's go to the photo score for he and the dragon. He gets a point for sculpt, a point for paint, a point for extra heads, a point for extra hands, a point for accessories, a point for articulation, and a point for natural movement. Liu Kang, photo score, 7 out of 7. Now we're heading over into Legends Land with the Skrulls 2-pack and the Skrull Queen, who, I gotta say, looks really good. Obviously, she's a lot of reuse, and it would be nice if she had waist articulation, because it's me, and that's something that I really like, but overall, with the head sculpt and everything, I think they did a decent job on this one. So let's go to the photo score. Nothing on sculpt, because, like I said, repaint. She does get a point for paint, a point for an extra head, a point for extra hands, accessories. She gets a point for articulation, but with a 90-degree bend at the arms, which is really weird that they seem like they went halfway with the new arms, but then kept half of them being the old arms. I'm so confused. Anyway, nothing for natural movement, long story short. She gets a photo score of 5 out of 7. And then we've got the Super Skrull from that Skrull 2-pack, and he's alright. He's just a straight up repaint, he's got a waistcut, he's got all the things that bug me about Marvel Legends. I swear, if they got rid of the waistcut, I'd have a lot more Legends in my collection, and my wallet would be unhappy. So let's go to the photo score, where he gets nothing for sculpt, because again, repaint. He does have enough paint on him, though, where I wanted to give him a point for that. There are no extra heads. The arms, the way that they work, give him extra hands, so I gave him a point for that. Cape's an accessory, so he gets a point for that. He's got articulation, but again, that waistcut makes it so he has no natural movement, because that breaks up the sculpt hugely, giving him a photo score of 4 out of 7. And now for the line that I'm insanely conflicted on. If you've been watching my stuff this past week with the social medias, I'm just looking at them and I'm going, man, I really want them, but are they that great? And I don't think they're that great, but I still really want them anyway. Here's Helena Shaw, who is especially not great. Just, I don't know what's going on when it comes to the waist and the crotch region. Like, it looks like it was just put together wrong. I don't know. There's something wrong with this figure. So, going to the photo score, I still gave her a point for sculpt. She has no real paint to speak of. There are no extra heads, no extra hands. She does have accessories. She has articulation, but again, made by the same Star Wars Black Series team, so she has no natural movement, giving her a photo score of 3 out of 7. And then we have the Cairo Indiana Jones, and I need at least one Indiana Jones in my collection, right? Like, maybe this is the one? I don't know. There's so many problems with this line in my eyes. The sculptors knock it out of the park. They always look good, but the limited articulation drives me crazy. So anyway, yeah, this is why I'm so conflicted. Looking at Indy's photo score, we can see he gets a point for sculpt, a point for paint. There are no extra heads. He does have plenty of extra hands in this release. There are accessories. He has articulation, but again, 90-degree bends at the elbows and knees give him no natural movement, which gives him a photo score of 5 out of 7. And now we have Old Man Indy from the Dial of Destiny, another figure that just looks like he gets the job done, but my stinking conflict. Somebody let me know in the comments. Should I get Indiana Jones? Should everybody have an Indiana Jones in their collection? Because, I'm just going to bore everybody with my conflict talk. So let's go to the photo score, where he gets nothing for sculpt. He looks like a total reuse of the first Indy. He gets a point for paint. There are no extra heads, no extra hands. He does have accessories like, look at that huge cobra. He does have articulation, but again, no natural movement, giving him a photo score of 3 out of 7. And now we've got a hypnotized Harrison from Temple of Doom. And really, the only thing different here, he's not wearing a hat and he's not wearing a shirt. So let's just jump to the photo score, where he gets a point for sculpt, he gets a point for paint. There are no extra heads, no extra hands. He does have accessories, he has articulation, but no natural movement, giving him a photo score of 4 out of 7. And then there was the exclusive Temple Escape Indiana Jones, who is the same Indiana Jones from before, but it looks like with less stuff. But you're going to pay a lot more because there's a podium. Yeah. Anyway, going over to this one's photo score, he gets nothing for sculpt. He does get a point for paint. There are no extra heads, no extra hands. He obviously has accessories. He has articulation, no natural movement, giving this Indiana Jones a photo score of 3 out of 7. Now we have an Indiana Jones who looks properly beat up from Temple of Doom. I actually really like the way this one looks. Maybe this is the Indy I need. Maybe I need all the Indies. Maybe I just need to shut up and grab one and see what I actually think. So let's head over to the photo score for this guy. He gets a point for sculpt, a point for paint. There are no extra heads, no extra hands. He has accessories. He has articulation, no natural movement. Indiana Jones gets a photo score of 4 out of 7. Oh dear, now we're on Brody and Belloc, and looking at them, it feels like I might have screwed up on Belloc's photo score. I'm telling you folks, there wasn't a lot of sleep this past week, but looking at him, he might be using the same body as Kazim. I don't know. Anyway, alright, checking out Brody here. Marcus Brody, sir. He is just using the Indiana Jones professor body, but, he looks good. And then we've got Belloc, like I said. He looks pretty cool, actually. I like the look of this figure. But let's just go to the photo score for both of them, because I don't know what to say here. Belloc got a point for sculpt, but maybe he shouldn't. Let me know in the comments. Is he just total reuse? He gets a point for paint. There are no extra heads, no extra hands. He does have accessories. He has articulation, but no natural movement, giving him a 4 out of 7. And I gave him the point for paint because of his shoes. Those things, they're looking snazzy. And then we jump over to Marcus Brody, who gets nothing for sculpt, nothing for paint, because everything looks pretty molded except his head. There are no extra heads, no extra hands. He has accessories and articulation, but no natural movement, giving poor Brody a photo score of 2 out of 7. And then there was Short Round, and I gotta tell you, I'm just stoked this figure was made. I think it's hilarious. I thought Short Round was awesome in the films. It's just really cool that we're getting this character. So who knows? Maybe I pick up Short Round too. Oh, yeah. Yay, conflict. Anyway, let's jump over to Short Round's photo score. He gets a point for sculpt. I didn't see that his shirt had any kind of weathering, which is why a lot of the indie figures got a point for paint. So Short Round here gets no point for paint. No extra heads, no extra hands. He does have accessories. He has articulation, but no natural movement. Again, those 90 degrees kill me. Giving Short Round a photo score of 3 out of 7. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was this week's episode of Toy Photography News. Now, do me a favor and comment below and let me know. Are you checking any of these figures out? Are they going to be added to your collection? Are you skipping them for the most part because they just don't fit your collection? Was I a little harsh on a few of these figures? I don't know, and I figure you should probably let me know. So, once again, thanks a ton for taking the time to check out the video. It's greatly appreciated. And until next time, have fun and happy snapping. See ya.